Hi guys, back Paul here. Hope you're all safe and well. Join me today on a nice sunny day, back out on my Triumph Street Triple RS. I want to do a little video today just to go over my thoughts and opinions on the bike so far. So it's recently had its 600 mile service with Triumph. That's the first service, and I just want to give you my impressions. Now obviously I know there'll be people who've owned this bike and there'll be videos on YouTube who have done a lot more miles than myself, but I feel that you get a little bit more used to the bike after that first service, and after these first 600 miles you get more of a feeling for it, and it also highlights, you know, any positives and negatives of the bike. But I guess to get it out of the way with, I'm pleased and I'm happy that I bought this bike, and I would definitely say, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I just love the way that it handles and how smooth it is. So I guess the main difference from this over my previous MT-09, which was the standard MT-09, is basically just the initial power and the acceleration and the handling. So on the MT-09 it was very, very aggressive. I guess that's how it's got its reputation as a bit of a hooligan bike, and it is exciting, don't get me wrong. If you put that thing in A mode and just let rip, it will just take off, and its acceleration is absolutely insane. I've owned a few bikes over the years, and that one is by far the most powerful in terms of its pure out and out acceleration, and 0 to 60, and just the way it gets there, the engine, the torque and everything is incredible. This bike is very different, but not in a bad way. So with this bike, it builds up its power. It's a little bit more linear, but anyway I would say it's a bit of a cross between a standard triple and a 4-cylinder, in that it makes you work a little bit harder to get to that power. Actually though, I prefer that because it makes the ride a little bit more involving. And what I used to find on the MT-09 is that yes, it had all that power, but once you were getting into the twisty roads, or, you know, going into a corner, if you were going into it a bit quick, it would show up its kind of inadequacies and the handling. So it would be a little bit all over the place. The brakes weren't really brilliant, and the suspension, at least on the model that I had, obviously they do the SP version, it couldn't really cope. It was bouncy. It was a little bit, you know, kind of all over the place, and it had a tendency to run wide when you went into the corners as well. And I didn't used to push it, to be honest. It's not like, you know, I'm trying to get my knee down or anything. I'm not that kind of rider, but even myself, I could kind of tell that when you were going, or when you were going some, it would just struggle a little bit in terms of its handling, and that is where the main positives are on this bike. It's absolutely brilliant in handling. It's just like it's on rails. It's perfect. The suspension setup is spot on. I'd never feel like it's too harsh, or that, you know, it's bouncy. It's just right. It's perfectly in the middle. It's just nice and supple, and it just gives you confidence. And the tyres as well, I mean, I'm not saying what they'd be like in a heavy downpour, but I don't think you're going to go out in winter on these, but these Pirellis, they are fantastic. They're just super grippy. They always fill you with confidence, and that matched with these Brembo brakes, I mean, the brakes are just wow, you know, they just stop it so quickly. So I guess then, in terms of negatives, because well, a couple, and it's only really minor things in my opinion, but firstly that TFT dash, I do like it. It's very easy to use. There's a lot of information on there, but the rev counter is really poor, and no matter what style you put it in, because there are different styles to the screen, it just, you can hardly read it. The numbers are very small. It's not in the kind of normal style of an analog rev counter, you know, where it'll swoop round in kind of a circle or a semicircle. You've got this kind of stylized bar that moves along horizontally on either side, and there are different, I guess, kind of configurations like I mentioned, but whichever one you seem to pick, it's pretty poor. And yeah, a lot of people have commented on that. I think this was an update that they did to the dash last year for this kind of revised model in 2020, and the previous dash did have a digital rev counter, but in the style of a traditional analog one, where it would swoop round in a circular style, and it was so much clearer. But there's not been an update that I know of to this bike, so that you can kind of go back to what they used to have. So that's definitely something that could be better. I mean, it does kind of change colour, so if you're going above certain rev limits it will go red and so on, but it just could be a lot better. So yeah, that's one negative. Second negative from my point of view is possibly, and again it's very minor, is the little tank pad I bought. It's rubber effect, rubber style, but it shows scratches really easily, and obviously that's better than them being on the tank, but it could just look a little bit better. And the bike is finished to such a high standard, it looks fantastic in terms of the paint and all the fittings, and just the overall appearance of the bike is stunning in my opinion, and that just drags it down a little bit, that tank pad. I've tried cleaning it and so on, but I think it's just the style of material. As soon as it gets any kind of scratches, which obviously can happen quite easy when you know, you've got your levers on and stuff, then it shows up, and that's a bit of a shame because they're not that cheap either, to be fair. So yeah, that's another little minor point on the bike, but overall again it's just a beautiful bike to ride, and that for me is the main point on this bike. It's just so sweet in terms of its handling. It's just so confidence inspiring, and it's got such a lovely noise as well. So the exhaust, it's only the standard one that comes on this bike, but it sounds fantastic. I mean, my mic may not pick this up because it's not the best mic in the world, but it does sound awesome, especially when you're giving it some on the quick shifter, and the quick shifter is lovely and smooth itself. Again, going back to my MT-09, which is maybe not fair because the standard MT-09 was about £2,500 less than this bike, especially when I bought it was about 8 grand. This is over 10. But the MT-09's quick shifter was okay, but it was a little bit clunky, and I didn't really notice that until I came to this bike, and you kind of feel, actually, yeah, this is how a quick shifter should be. It's much more refined, and it's seamless, I would say, as long as you've got kind of the right revs and so on. I mean, I can give you a bit of a demonstration now, but you'll see how smooth it is. There we go, that's it. So easy. And obviously it's got the blipper as well. I mean, I actually tend to forget it's got the blipper. I don't know why. I always use a quick shifter, or more often than not I'll use a quick shifter, but with the blipper, I guess it's because I didn't have one on my old bike. I just get that used to changing down manually that, yeah, it just goes into autopilot. But quick shifter's brilliant, and yeah, can't really fault it. I think for me, the thing that swung it for this bike, I was looking at several other bikes like the BMW S1000 or the naked bike. I was looking at the BMW R9T, then there was other nakeds, the Kawasaki Z900, the new MT-09. But for me, it's the design of this bike. I just think it looks brilliant, especially what they've done with the kind of tail unit, the tail section, and from the test ride it just blew my mind the way that it handled and sounded, and I just loved everything about it. So I don't regret it one bit. I would definitely recommend this if you're in the market for, I guess, a middleweight bike, and you can't really go wrong with Triumphs. You know, I had one before, Street Triple, and it was excellent. That was the 675. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have got any questions, then ask away. Triumph were fantastic on that first service. I could tell they'd done a really good thorough job. The other reason I came out today is to look at this quad lock holder, and yeah, it's very good. It's very stable and sturdy, no problems there. The angle is a bit difficult. It's not a perfect angle. It's not kind of flat as I would want it. It's sort of angled downwards a little bit, but it doesn't have a ball joint, which I mentioned in my quad lock fitting video, so that is a bit of a poor design element to it in my mind. It would be better if it had like a ball or pivot joint, so you could kind of swivel it. So I might have to play around with that, or maybe I'll just stick with it because it's not bad. You can see it perfectly fine. It just angles a bit downwards at the current position it's in, and I did play around with it a lot before I actually chose that as well and put it in place in that way. But yeah, again, thanks again for watching, guys. Like I say, feel free to subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos coming soon on the Street Triple RS. I'm probably going to be fitting an Evotech Vanguard. They were out of stock last time I looked, but I am looking at getting an Evotech Vanguard, maybe a tail tidy. So there'll be a few more videos on this bike coming up, and overall can't fault it. Absolutely knocked it out of the park, Triumph, with this one, and I can see why they're using this engine in Moto 2. Obviously, you know, they will tinker with that, and I'm sure they'll make plenty of upgrades to the Moto 2 bikes over this, but it's a fantastic bike, and it's just the engine that is the real star. It's just an exciting bike to ride, and just beautiful handling. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and stay tuned, we'll put some more videos on soon. Okay, cheers guys, thank you.